So, welcome to another edition of the Dan Assor Show, sponsored by TF Connect. As always, like to thank my community patrons, Easy Fares, CISO, Tarsus Group, 19 Group, and Smart Digital. And I'm delighted today to be in front of and welcome, I think, a fan of the show, Toby Walters, the CEO of Elite Exhibitions.
Definitely a fan of the show. Yeah, welcome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's right. I say welcome. You don't say welcome.
I'm used to hosting my own. That's why.
You're going to interview me. We're both wearing black t-shirts, so you know, trying to make ourselves look as slim as possible. Toby, we're going to talk more in depth about an announcement you guys made only a couple of days ago about a new community initiative that you're putting together. Yeah. Before we get into that good stuff, it's always good, I think, for people that are watching, maybe considering getting into the event space and launching shows, or even people that have been in it for a while, to understand how you got into it yourself and what you love about it.
Good question. So first of all, I just want to say that you are effectively the Joe Rogan of the events industry. So it's great to be on the show.
Wow.
I feel like I'm in the Peter Jones category right now. Doing a bit of a. So how did I get in? So when I was 21 years old, I joined a company in Brighton called Smarter Shows, which is now part of Tarsus, as you'll know. Sure. Working for a guy called James Reeder, who is a bit of a legend in the sector of launching trade shows. I worked from exhibition manager for 5 or 6 years. Launched a show called the EVTECH Expo and the Battery Show, which was acquired in 2016 by UBM, then Informa. And at that point, I realised that I didn't want to go and put a suit and tie on and go and work for a corporate. Yeah. And I always knew I wanted to do something, for myself. So at that point, I partnered with a good friend of mine, Sam Murray, who's our co-founder, and James Reeder, the current, chairman of Smarter Shows, to launch Elite Exhibitions. So it was about 5 or 6 years of learning at Smarter Shows, and then finally took the jump. Yeah. At the same time, I was having twins and moving house and doing all the stupid stuff that you usually do. Yeah.
Get it all out of the way at once. Well, congratulations.
In one hit.
Obviously, it was the right move. The shows that you're involved with and the industry sectors, for those that aren't aware, just bring those to life, please.
Yes, so we've, up until yesterday, we've always been a cruise events company. We've got Cruise Ship Interiors Expo in Miami, which is co-located with Cruise Ship Hospitality in Miami. They focus on, what they say. It's design, architecture, hotel operations, the hospitality, food and beverage sector within the cruise industry. So it's really niche. We also geocloned those events into Europe in 2019. So they took place in Barcelona. And then we've recently moved them to the ExCeL in London. So now we've got both events that sit in Miami and at the ExCeL in London. Yeah. Obviously, we haven't run the ExCeL one in London yet because that thing called COVID. But then along the way, we've launched a subscription platform for the cruise industry, which is effectively a networking and content subscription platform. And we have an awards night as well. Sure. So up until yesterday, we are predominantly a cruise platform.
So do you go on cruises yourself?
Yeah, you've put me under pressure now. I've actually never been on a cruise before, which is
really
never been on a cruise.
There you go. That's an exclusive. Nor have I. We should go together.
You're breaking all the news.
We should go together.
Never actually been on a cruise. I've been on a ship to tour one. Never actually set sail.
Right. Interesting. We might come back to that. Now you're based in Hove.
Yeah.
We were just chatting off air. Sounds very professional, but beforehand. That I've had conversations, and obviously you just mentioned Smarter Shows, and there's other companies in Brighton and Hove as well from the trade show industry. It seems to be like a plethora of them.
It is.
Do you think that's a coincidence, or do you think that's something that's happened by design?
Yeah, I mean, you've got some really, really important organisers down here as well. Not just Elite, of course, but you've got Smarter Shows, which is where most of the Brighton-based companies have come from, actually. Yeah. So you've got Smarter Shows, you've got Diversified, of course, IMEX. Yeah. It is a hotspot for event organisers. I think a lot of the companies, Elite, Global Select Media, event partners, they've all come in some way from Smarter Shows. So all of the owners of these companies have previously worked at Smarter Shows, which is really interesting. So it just goes to show what happens when you work with James Reeder.
So he's like the father figure. He's like spawned.
That's a bit weird, but yeah, in a weird way, yeah.
I won't ask who the mother figure is. So maybe, I mean, do you all sort of do you get together? Is there like a Brighton trade show?
There is. There's a group WhatsApp chat, and before COVID hit, we all met up at Diversified's office in Brighton. So it was all of the Brighton organisers,
right?
And we came together to create some sort of network where we can share ideas, we can help each other with recruitment. Don't tell TF Connect, but we almost created this group of event organisers in Brighton, and then I think 2 weeks later COVID hit, and we haven't really done anything with it since.
Well, need to get that back. Need to get that back together. Well, it's interesting because obviously West London also is a hive of trade show organisers, so I guess sort of naturally that happens.
Yeah.
So you obviously run a good bunch of your shows in the US.
Yeah.
And again,
trying to.
Other companies I speak to in Brighton and not Brighton also run shows in the US, which I find very interesting. What are the main challenges of doing that over and above the fact you can't travel there at the moment?
Apart from the fact that we can't currently get into the country, which is
how does that operate? How does that operate? Do you obviously have partners on the ground? Or just bring that to life, please.
We don't have any partners on the ground in terms of operations or sales. We are purely a UK organizer that happens to run shows in the US. And I suppose for us it's normal because that's what I learned when I was at Smarter Shows. We've always just organized shows that weren't in the UK. And actually our London event will be the first show I've ever organized in the UK.
Wow.
When it comes around in December.
You've never been on a cruise, and you've never
been on a cruise and never organised a show in the UK. There it is.
We're learning everything here.
But I would say, some of the challenges are time zones, things like that. We've run an event in Las Vegas before where it's 8 or 9 hours behind us. So, but these things we just get over, don't we? Now, things with time zones, all about Zoom. It's all about the internet, emails. It really isn't a challenge. When the US was open for us, we would be over there all the time. We'd always be meeting with clients, meeting with the visitors, and generally promoting the show. But during COVID, we just haven't been able to do that. So that's definitely the biggest challenge as it stands.
Yeah. So how is the laying of the line in that regard? Because obviously your shows are in October in Miami.
Yeah. So with our US show in Miami, we've got around 40% of our exhibitor audience is based in Europe.
Right.
Which is, 150 or so exhibiting companies that are all wanting to be at the show. They all want to get back to business and meet their customers. We found that around half of them have got some access to the US, whether they've got operations, they've got the visa, they've got whatever it might be. But the other half, we need to create a solution for these guys.
Yeah.
So we personally, we've gone for a sort of a hybrid offering where we've created a pavilion of European companies that can't get there. But you're right, it is a challenge, and until the US opens, there's no real clean solution.
But as ever, the exhibition industry, if nothing else, is always responsive and comes up with solutions to meet these challenges. So actually tell me about that. So your events will definitely be hybrid in that regard with a virtual element?
Absolutely. I mean, I say hybrid, what does hybrid mean? I'm not even sure. But for us, what that means is that we will run our event face-to-face, live, in the flesh. Our team would be taking 2 weeks in Canada or Mexico or somewhere like that to get into the event, just to make it happen. And I suppose the hybrid element is that we will live stream the conference. If you're at home and you can't make it to the show, you will have access to that content. And then for the exhibitors that can't make it there, that want to be at the show, they want to have their products on display, we're building a lounge-like pavilion where they ship their samples to be on display. We're a design show, so it's a very touchy-feely industry. It's very, there's lots of fabrics and furnishings. So we will have their products on display at the show, and then our team at Elite will personally staff that space, take on those, anyone that comes to the stand, will take their details and pass them back to the exhibitor.
Yeah.
And in some circumstances, we will actually connect the visitor with the exhibitor at home via something like Zoom or another different platform. But it will give them access to the buyers in real time.
Fantastic. It's another example of innovation. And talking of innovation, we're going to come on and talk about, obviously, during the pandemic, couldn't run shows. Lots of people then started to think about other revenue models that maybe they've wanted to do for a while, but actually the positive, I guess, of the pandemic, it allowed them at least to pause because they had nothing else to do, but more time to think about it. Can you start off with bringing to life your new revenue models that you're looking at, which, as I understand it, the revenues are driven through subscriptions and membership. And then we can talk more about specifically, CSI Plus, which is sitting behind you on your nice banner, and also EVTECH365, please.
Yes. So for us, up until COVID hit, we're a small business. We're 3 or 4 years old, so we're not an Informer or a Clarion. We are a new business. We realized when COVID hit that all of our eggs were in the event basket, and up until then, it was a great basket for all the eggs to be in. It's a great business model. But we realized that shows aren't happening as it stands, and we don't know when they're going to come back. And as a small business that doesn't have millions of dollars sat there in cash that we can just use as reserves, we knew we needed to come up with something that not only kept our community that we serve connected, gave our exhibitors an opportunity to talk to their customers, but also enabled us to continue running our shows. And that meant that we had to think fast. I've always read a lot of books on different types of marketing, different products and stuff. And I remember reading a book called Subscription Marketing. Right. And you sort of read it, take as much as you want in, and then put it aside. And it wasn't until that moment it hit that we realized that actually there's a way that we can monetize the products that we're already offering our exhibitors. We already produce content. We already offer webinars. We already do 365 networking. All of these things that the exhibitor takes for granted as part of their stand. So if you think about, exhibitor books a 20 by 20 stand, and that's almost something that they get included anyway. Sure. But if you're not running the show, then you don't get to see that revenue.
Yeah.
So we decided to build our own platform for the cruise line industry from scratch. It's called CSI Plus. It's a subscription based networking and content platform. And I think our community really appreciated it. That was the route we went down, and it's a huge success.
And they don't have to be part of the show.
They don't have to be part of the show. No.
So let me ask you a question, because obviously I've been in the trade show world as well. When you're selling, there's 2 schools of thought: sell your main product, then maybe you go back and then speak to them about something else, added value you can sell, or you might bundle it in depending on what they take at the show. Was there any concern that you might end up cannibalizing your revenues?
Is a question that we all asked ourselves a lot. And actually, one of the things that I've always been quite strong on is, we can offer what we offer, but we shouldn't tell them what they need. Like if they tell us they want something, we should offer it to them. We shouldn't hold stuff back because it might damage, what we've already got. So actually we presented CSI Plus as a totally separate opportunity. We didn't say to people, the shows aren't happening, take this for the time being, and then when they come back, take that. Because it's 2 totally different offerings.
Yeah,
we've always been about community at our business. Within the cruise industry, we've created a really nice community feel within the industry, and CSI Plus totally complements that. So what we're positioning the platform as is, be part of this community, network with people, consume valuable content, and then when the show happens, you're already armed with those connections and you're already armed with that information. So it really complements it. But what it also enables us to do is open up to a totally new market. So we've got companies that are now members in places that would never come to our events, places in Asia that we never had access to.
Sure.
And that's just the power of an online community.
Yeah, and I guess then you can have conversations internally about, okay, well, actually, you've got quite a lot of new business in those other regions. Maybe that we can do a show there off the back.
Exactly.
Right. So
that's exactly, yeah.
I get it. Okay, now, obviously, you had authority in that space, the cruising space. So you could argue it's not a leap of faith that you could deliver that community. What you announced the other day, EVTECH, Vehicle Electrification Community. I know you yourself have got some history in that space. But what made you think that you could, actually bring to life what EVTECH365 is?
It's very similar in concept to CSI Plus. It's a different opportunity for the industry, but it's similar in concept. It's a subscription-based membership platform for the vehicle electrification community. And what that means is, and the reason for it is, back in 2011, I launched the Electric and Hybrid Vehicle Technology Expo, which, as I mentioned earlier, was a Smarter Shows event. It was acquired by Informer, so I'm sure they're going to be really pleased to see we're back in this industry. But I've actually always kept in touch with all my old clients and all of the exhibitors that were part of that event. And, I was working on it for 6 years. So, you develop really strong relationships, as you'll know. And I didn't keep on with these connections, these relationships, because I had some ulterior motive to launch a platform in 6 years. It's just genuinely a really nice bunch of people. So once COVID hit and we looked at, opportunities for events, what was realized by us is that we don't actually have to own the trade show, the big industry event, to now move into a market. So we're now looking at industries that are perhaps underserved in terms of a community feel, or don't offer the right content, or just an underserved market. And we sort of realized, based on the research we had with these people, the exhibitors of that show, is it's a great trade show, but there isn't that community feel to it. There isn't that 365 engagement that everyone keeps talking about. And based on those relationships I've got, I just thought that was a really good opportunity to go back into that market with something different.
Yeah. In terms of the talent and the people you need to work on these types of products, because they're obviously different to trade shows. So lots of people I talk to, we're trying to get digital people with digital experience into the business, because, we're now running things online and digital.
Yeah.
Is that what you're doing as a business? Have your recruitment needs changed?
It's a great question, and it's something it's a constant thing that we're thinking about, because up until we launched CSI Plus, you rely on event marketers, rely on people that understand pre-reg and all of the X-prom and all these things. But actually, when it comes to subscription marketing, it's a totally different game. And when it comes to subscription sales, it's a totally different game. So we brought in a lady called Claudia. And she has a ton of experience in the membership and community sector, doing various networking platforms. And she's come in and she's totally kicked our ass and taught us so much about the market that we just had no idea about. We were doing so many things with the hat of an event organizer on, and it's just the wrong way to approach it. It's a totally different market. So, as you know, we've been speaking before we started recording, but we're going to work with you guys to try and find people that specialize in sales for membership and platforms.
Yeah, which I think is actually an exciting development of the industry, because obviously people are nervous that people have left and moved on. Those people that, for no fault of their own, moved out of the companies, and they think actually the grass is greener. But hopefully it's actually now an opportunity to bring in a new skill set and also train existing teams, right, with new skills.
Yeah.
So you've got organisations like the Virtual Event Institute, and I'm sure there's lots of others that can skill people in the digital environment. Okay, so we're almost out of time. Desert Island.
You didn't. I'm not looking forward to this.
No, you're stranded because you've just been. Actually, I don't know if this is good for your brand, but I can say it. You'd be stranded because you've been on a cruise.
Don't say cruise line. Don't say cruise line.
Unfortunately, okay, not stranded. Maybe it's not the cruise liner's fault, but they just left and you were in a bar and with some mates for the industry.
Yeah.
Who would you like to be stranded on the desert island with from the trade show
industry? How many people do I have to pick?
Well, 2 or 3, but you can keep going.
2 or 3. That's a good question. So the first person I'm going to pick, just because I imagine after a couple of days I'm going to be in serious need of an energy injection. So I've got to pick Peter Jones from 19.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
You kind of need that. You need him there for the energy. The second person I'm going to pick is probably Adam Moore from Event Partners.
Okay.
So Adam Moore, he basically taught me everything I knew about exhibition sales. He's a bit of a legend in the industry. And I would love to have him there. And he plays great guitar, so he would entertain us.
Assuming you had a guitar, but we'll take that lead. We'll take that lead. All right, Adam Moore and Peter Jones, fantastic. So it'd be interesting to see when we put this out and I tag them how excited they are that they've made the cut. Yeah. Toby, fascinating. We wish you the very best of luck with the rebirth, if you like, of the shows and the next few. And hopefully you can get to the States, and also with your new community channel initiative. So
thank you very much, Dan.
365 and CSI Plus. Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.